Welcome to the Saturday Night Live Afterparty. This week, we'll be discussing Season 46, Episode 20 of SNL with host Anya Taylor-Joy and musical guest Lil Nas X. I'm Catherine Coleman, and I'm joined this week by Steve Finn and Charlotte O'Trimba. If you'd like to connect with any of us, you can do so at snlpodcast.com. All right, here we go. So the season finale of season 46. I can't believe we're finally here. Can y'all?
Oh,
No.
It's been such a ride. Holy jumpins. And here we are at the end of it. I can't wait to get into it.
Yeah. It feels like it was... It feels like it flew by, but it also feels like it was 6 years long. Like it is both of those things.
Yeah, it definitely was two very different times. You know, the heavy, deep depths of COVID times. And then two, we can sort of taste a post-COVID life. So we went through it all.
Yeah, and there were kind of two distinct parts of the season. There was like election and then like the fun second half of the season. But before we get too far into analyzing the full season, we got a whole finale we have to cover. So, are y'all ready to get into it?
We got a whole finale. Let's do it.
All right.
Woo!
For the cold open, the cast, including an unnamed new addition, reminisce about the highs and lows of season 46. And we also got a surprise cameo from Chris Rock. So, Charlotte, how'd you like the cold open?
Oh, I thought it was a real great end to the season, to start it off like this. It was just the right mix of a little bit emotional and bittersweet and funny and poignant. I definitely, with some of the lines where some of the cast broke a little bit, you really felt like you were part of this family after a crazy roller coaster of a year. It really touched me when Cecily and Kate both seemed to tear up and choke. My favorite part was probably the writer's room gag photo in the kind of like World War I era gas masks.
Right.
And yeah, I guess I also would like to know if either of you know who that person is who had the line. Did they just hire an actor for the day, or what happened?
He is the scenic designer. I don't remember his name. Oh, okay.
Leo. He's known for playing Mr. Spock whenever they do a Trek parody. And he is a beloved behind-the-scenes member who occasionally gets screen time. And this was just one of the many things peppered into this cold opening that if you're a huge SNL fan, it pays off in many ways. I was tearing up. I had some tear stains on the shirt because this was a beautiful moment that it just gave you everything if you were a true fan of the show. Lots of references to the season that we all went through, mentioning specific sketches and, just commenting on their weirdness. It was just really great to like just reflexively think about the show along with the cast. And just these little facts you get to learn. Like, I love that textbook guy in the audience. That was such a fun little fact that's true. And that's just the kind of stuff I love to hear about, like the behind the scenes. I think we all do. And it's just great. It was really, really touching. I think it had that finale feel that you would expect, but it wasn't phoned in. This was sincere, and obviously the cast were into it because they were tearing up, but still funny as always. So
yeah, I love anything that's like a heartwarming little meta thing, because the cast feels like such an extended family. Like we spend 90 minutes. I spend more than that because I watch it twice. with these people every week. So it was good closure for me, even though I'm not technically a part of it. It felt nice. It was like, oh yeah, we have had a crazy season, haven't we? And I can't imagine what they actually went through. But I felt very seen when they were, they talked about how crappy the audiences were, which is something we talked about on here. They referenced that 15-minute fly cold open, which was like my first complaint. And I loved it. I thought this was really charming and really sweet. But it also made me so nervous because as soon as it opens and I see Kate, Cecily, 80, and then Keenan, I see Kate's crying, Cecily's crying, 80's Misty. I went, no, 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 no.
I was
No
thinking the same
announcements.
thing. I was thinking the same thing, Catherine.
Yeah, it seemed like they were gearing up to like it being a goodbye. And then there was even that moment at the end where 80 was like, but like a family, we're sick of each other. And I was like, oh, but then it didn't come. So we were kind of left hanging. There was no clarity.
No, I was gonna say too, also Pete Davidson's line, it's been an honor to grow up in front of you guys, felt very final as well.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff
True.
in this episode that sort of seemed to hint at some goodbyes, but nothing official. Like no official clarity, because I think it's the end of the season. I think sometimes some people think they're going to leave and then they realize over the summer they don't want to. So, it may not be finalized yet. Yeah, definitely sparked some speculation online with this cold open.
Yep. Even if they didn't say anything outright, the fact that they were as emotional as they were, it almost implies that they know themselves that
Right.
this might be their last season. So we'll just have to wait and see.
We'll just have to wait and see. I think the only official announcement we've had so far is that Sudie Green, who is a writing supervisor, is leaving. That was her last episode, which I'm very bummed about. She's a fantastic writer. But I guess she's going on to bigger, better things. She was working on Shrill, a few other TV shows, I think. So I'm sure we'll see Sudie again. All right. Well, let's talk about the monologue. Anya Taylor-Joy teaches us how to play chess and take drugs, which is very exciting. So, question 1, raise your hand if you've seen The Queen's Gambit. Just me. Awesome. Luckily for y'all, they didn't do too much Queen's Gambit heavy material. But Steve, you go first. What are your thoughts on the monologue?
Expertly performed. One of the most masterfully done monologues of the season, just on hey, I'm a trained actress and I can basically just appear natural in probably the most unnatural situation that you can be put on in Earth. Just a show of control. The way she, knows exactly when to break eye contact from the camera and transfer that attention to the audience just as she's selling a punchline. Like she just had such a natural rhythm and just delivery that was, chef's kiss.
Charlotte, what'd you think?
Yeah, I guess I didn't have that strong of a positive reaction. I mean, I didn't dislike it. I loved the joke about, because she's from Miami and Argentina and London and said, so I'm Fashion Week. I thought that was a really funny line. I thought she also exhibited great control. I would have liked a little more energy maybe, or a little bit more oomph, but that might just not be her personality. So that might have looked unnatural. So, that might just be more of a personal choice on my end. Yeah, it was fine. I thought it was fine.
That's fair. My overall take on it has less to do with her or the writing and more to do with the audience, because wow, this is the first full audience of the season and you could tell the difference.
They were pumped.
They were pumped. Like if you go back and watch one of like the first 3-4 episodes, it's dead in that room.
Yeah, I know.
And this one was like, oh, we finally have, first of all, enough people that it sounds as loud as we're used to, but second of all, that energy, that amount of excitement and like fans being in the room can take a good sketch and make it great. That is contagious, and it is you can feel it in the room. Like I've been to several tapings, and I've been part of okay audiences, and I've been part of great audiences, and like it is an electric difference in the feeling. So I can imagine how great that must have been for the performers. And honestly, I think that might have been what was making some of the people teary in the cold open, was just like the feeling of, oh my God, it's back.
Yeah.
People.
But people like us. But that was the big thing that stood out in the monologue. I was like, oh, this is no matter what, this is going to be good because we have a good audience. And I can tell that Anya's happy to be here and she's excited, and that energy is infecting her. And I felt good that we were in for a good night just because it's the finale and we were going to go big. So yeah, it was a win for me. All right.
Oh boy.
Let's get into some more sketches then.
Woo!
Bill Cosby is just the first of many problematic bookings on this episode of Hollywood Squares from 1998. This was a fun little retro game night, which is our second retro game night of the season. And Charlotte, how'd you feel?
Yeah, I thought this was fun. It was kind of light, kind of made you nostalgic for the 90s. It was fun. I don't know. I'd be curious to hear what you guys think. I felt like Bill Cosby should have been last.
Maybe.
I think he was like the worst of the crew there.
True.
Of everybody they cut out, I feel like it would have gotten more laughs with Bill if he was last, because they had there were the most comments about him, like how Baby Spice says this whole line, this whole like speech about how great, and everybody's like, you're so great. So yeah,
he's like the most heightened example of like
Exactly.
omitting someone, but at the same time, he's also the clearest example. So it was probably an easier end than starting with like Jeff Dunham.
That's true. Yeah. We immediately knew what the game was once we started with Bill. But yeah, I guess that would be my only thing. And so then while it's funny that everybody keeps getting eliminated, you do miss those joke lines.
Right.
Like you're like waiting for like all these amazing writers in there, and then like, everybody's gone. So so it was really funny, and I loved the game. I felt like maybe it needed like one more big punch of heightening, or I just was craving some more lines.
Yeah. I feel like I wish they would have found a second gear to not just omitting them, but maybe they substitute someone else in. I don't know. But because that's fun, and I was enjoying every time they omitted someone, and they did change it up a little bit. But a new level would have been really nice. But I enjoyed this for the sake of the commentary, because I like doing the retro game shows, and this is a very different take on the retro game show that we saw earlier this season. But both of them have this in common, that we're looking at 80s and 90s through this current day lens, and how are we going to see this now? And I think that's really, really fun. And obviously there's this cultural thing of, man, it's really starting to feel like everyone's a monster. Like no one's safe. So, what is going to be left to watch from the 90s by the time we're done?
I agree. That is such great commentary. I think it was sending that message as well. So funny.
Yeah. So I think this is good, and I'm excited for Retro Game Show Network to be a recurring thing. I want to see all the different ways that they can go with this, because I think there are plenty more ways to look at it and ways to use that lens and to have really, really fun stuff. So I'm a fan. Steve, did you enjoy it?
Oh, of course. I grew up in the 90s. I love the
Right.
90s. Uh, you got to give props to the costume department,
Mhm.
and you got to give costumes to the props department.
You make that joke every time, and I love it every time.
The sketch I thought was great. It was a funny thing to have to view older content through a more progressive lens from present times. There's
Mhm.
fun ways that they can break apart. I think they found a great way to do that. I questioned some of the pacing uh, choices they made. There was a shot before pretty much anything got started that showed like every single celebrity on the celebrity
Mhm.
square, and I was like, huh, okay, I just saw
Gave
Bill
away the joke
Cosby.
a little bit.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
just saw Bill Cosby in the middle. I just saw, okay, there's Jared Fogle. Um, it is a chance for you to see Roseanne, who does not get mentioned in the sketch, but she's there as one of the celebrities as well. But like, it kind of gave it away. And when they
Mhm.
hard cut to Bill Cosby, I had already seen him, so that laugh for me at home for being like, oh, it's Bill Cosby. That might have been
Mhm.
a little bit more punchier. So
Yeah.
it didn't seem like it was a mistake. It seemed like a deliberate cut to the
Mhm.
square. So yeah, that leaves me with questions.
Yeah, because I mean, that's how. Because there's this thing that it's tricky when you're doing sketch, especially a parody, because you want it to be as close to the real thing as possible, and
Right.
I think that exact situation is where it's hard because that's how the real show opens. You see the squares, um, but sometimes you have to say, for the sake of the joke, we're going to intentionally make it a little bit less like the original thing. Um,
Damn, Catherine, you are probably right.
She right,
yeah.
she right.
I do my best. But
So smart.
that is luckily I was far enough away from my television that I only made out Bill Cosby and I could not see anybody else because I'm blind.
Second time I watched it, I definitely paused so I could
Mhm.
see you all.
Another fun little thing is when at the end when it cuts back and they're all blurred out, the full square wasn't blurred, so you could see them sneaking offset behind the blurred part, which was just a fun little
Totes.
thing to pick up.
Yeah, it looked like a little SNL ant farm.
All right. Well, Hollywood Squares hits and misses, but I think overall fun enough. So let's keep going. Dad ruins prom when he blows off his little with his big gun. I loved this. Steve, did you enjoy it?
Of course, I enjoyed it.
What's not to enjoy?
Well, as a man, I can tell you, uh, there's something called empathy pain. So,
Well, technically sympathy pain, right? Because I assume you have never shot your dick off, which
no,
would be empathy
no,
pain.
Fingers crossed.
never.
This is
So,
Steve's way of telling us some bad news.
That was a long pause, Steve.
yeah,
Something
just
you
gonna-
want to tell the viewers at home?
I'm just gonna slide this box of bits to the side. Okay. Um, didn't
Anyway.
you love the cinematography of this? It was so
Mhm.
well shot with like this beautiful lens distortion that gave it that
Mhm.
like, oh my god, I'm going to prom, like dream come true uh
Mhm.
aesthetic.
Yeah, and the lighting was really selling that as well.
Yeah, beautiful lenses and beautiful flare coming through the window. The
Mhm.
whole thing just was like really well done.
Yeah.
Um,
Shout out to Paul Briganti directed it. So
yeah,
Shout out.
yeah, beautiful shots. And I just love that. And SNL is so good at selling these moments visually one way and then uh content wise selling you something different. And
Mhm.
that disagreement in your head getting both streams is like it just forces you to laugh hard
Mhm.
because this is the only way to compute it. So like
Right.
this touching, tender moment that's been sprayed with blood and bits have it it's some of the most brilliant stuff I've ever seen.
Yeah. I also loved it. I thought this was a big standout. Like you said, directed beautifully. We've called out Paul Berganti, I think, on almost every episode this season. He's doing incredible work. Seems like a real
He
nice
is not
guy.
he is not paying us, we
He
swear.
is not.
Yeah. But listen, we'd love to work with you,
But
Paul.
listen, Paul, if you ever want to be here. No, and then this is actually written by Andrew Dismukes. We know he was a writer for a few seasons before he became a cast member, and that guy is just so funny, and he's so good at tapping in. He's from, I think he might be originally from Louisiana, but he grew up in Texas. Could be wrong. Definitely southern, western, midwestern guy, and is really, really good at tapping into those tropes. Like dad with a shotgun. I'm familiar. I've seen this before. um, and that is just so funny and such a great direction to take it. And my favorite part of this was all of the back and forth and the repetition that could have so easily gotten old, but was funny every time. Like, just don't have sex. We're going to, but okay.
But we
No,
will.
no, don't. Okay, but we will though. And I mean, they did that for a solid minute, which is a really long
Yes.
time in a sketch. So I thought this was amazing, and everyone was flawless in their roles. Like Beck's the perfect stupid dad. 80s plays a great mom. Heidi and Andrew sold being teenagers perfectly. I loved every part of this.
Yeah.
I mean, this was my favorite sketch of the night
Mhm.
by far. It was hilarious. I watched it 3 times, made my boyfriend watch it 2 more times with me. I was like, this is the sketch.
This is the one.
This is the one. I would agree with you with the writing. So good, but I also think to your point, Beck just goes to like 150 and it's just so funny in the hospital bed. Like, oh, but you're
Mhm.
gonna try really hard, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's like that perfect mix of like the dad who's used to everything working out because he's gonna do it
Mhm.
his way and it's gonna work out all the way to the end. And then I also thought, as the teenagers, Andrew, I mean, the fact that he wrote it and then acted in it so well as playing kind of like the douchey teenage son,
Mhm.
who has like the girlfriend that he's having sex with all the time. I don't know. I just thought the whole thing worked so well. And then showing the cooler.
It was blurred out, right?
It was blurred out. It was
Mhm.
rough. But
Yeah.
then props to Anya for, I mean, her reactions,
Mhm.
her response to saying, no, we're not gonna be able to do anything with that. Oh my God, so funny.
Mhm.
Just
I
so
love
good.
yeah, I love it because, they're making fun of it because everybody considers it, well, not everybody, but many consider it a very tacky move, to make this
Right.
joke. And it's so brilliant to just have someone who thinks that's funny trying to explain why that's funny.
Yes.
But in the
Because it's
urgency of the
weird.
situation where they're like
Right.
bleeding out there where what one thing once was,
Mhm.
yeah, it's a very funny situation.
This was pretty near perfect in my book. So
I agree.
huge win there. High energy headed in to a team of angels revealing the prototype for human man. And despite it being bad and gross, it's pretty much exactly how you turned out there, Steve. So how do you feel about it?
Called out.
I have not shown you all the hair. Okay,
I think
let's
I've
not
seen a photo of
pretend.
you in a swimsuit. So
We're gonna have to talk about where you got that photo, young
you
lady.
sent it to me for some. Oh no, it was for chicken legs. It was for chicken legs.
So we were talking about something.
Mhm. Yes. How do you
the
feel about the prototype for man?
the the sketch was it was just as weird as it needed to be. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It was a weird sketch that when you take this perspective on the human body, especially the male figure, uh, you know, it is a weird concept when you just throw out all the things you take for granted and all those notions you grew up with. It's a weird thing that we happen to evolve into. So
Why is there hair and butt cracks? It really doesn't make any sense.
it doesn't.
Can we evolve that
Yeah,
out?
can we all involve that out?
Yeah. And like, since there's no like, I mean, sure, you know what? I'm going to drop that thought because I don't want to say it. But I thought that was a fun sketch. And I thought that they had some fun little moments in there peppered in. Like, I really loved Melissa's character.
Mhm.
She was a devil's advocate. And that's a clever layer to add into this sketch given the location. And I also enjoyed Jesus. For his little bit of time he had, I love Kyle's characterization. It made me feel like there was more of that because like they dressed him up and went through all that trouble to get him ready for camera for such a tiny little bit. I feel like he had a little bit more in a longer version of this sketch. So I really love that Jesus character. So I would have liked to see a little more of him, but you only have so many minutes.
I did not like the Jesus character because it felt like such a weird shoehorned ending. And I was like, them walking out and Ego had a line that would have been a perfect blackout line. And I was like, I don't know why he's here. But maybe you're right. There was something more. And instead of cutting him completely, they just cut it down. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Charlotte, where'd you land on this sketch?
Yeah, I thought it was a great sketch. I think that's a pretty great formula for comedy if you're like looking for a sketch premise is to like find an everyday or something that you take for granted that you just know as true and look at it through foreign eyes, right? So like we would never think to look at the male body through eyes like this. And that's why it's so funny and it's also so relatable. So I loved the concept. I thought the great layers like Steve mentioned. I also love that Chris Redd's character is sort of responsible for a lot of these really
He came up with all the bad ideas.
all the bad ideas and is like celebrated for it. I mean, I just also love him and Keenan's chemistry. They have such great chemistry, so it's like so funny watching that on camera too.
Yeah, it's a really, really fun premise, and I love the idea that the male angels designing human man would be sort of indignant about all of the shortcomings of the male body.
And like so stubborn too. Like, nope,
Like,
sticking with it.
If the man could feed the baby, like that would be really great. And they're like, no. They're like, we're not having this logical conversation about this. They're not here for it. I love that. All right. Up next, we have Messy Drunk Nights, Straights Dressed Gay, and Deutsche Bank Floats. It's Pride again. And this one was real fun. A nice showcase for Bowen. Charlotte, what'd you think?
Agree. I thought this was so fun. I love a song. They do their songs really well. I love that it was sort of poking fun about all the negatives about Pride that are inevitable. You know, the different beats I had were no text back on the dance floor, the lesbian couple fighting, too many straights dressed as gays, and then fighting over gay theory, and then of course the whole Deutsche Bank float. I would say my one note for this would be that I think it needed more contrast and definition between the highs and the lows, if that makes sense. I think the like song itself could have had either like, and I'm not a musical person, so I don't know the correct terminology here, but just like more sounds in the background that made it like really dancey, and then the downer parts like, oh, he's not texting me back, and the conversation on the floor, like something to make that music sound a little bit more different and sadder or something, because I think the contrast would have been clearer. If the contrast had been clearer, it would have just been that much funnier.
I wonder if delivering the downer parts as if they're upper parts is part of the joke.
Yeah, I Yeah, maybe you're right. I mean, maybe I'm
Like,
just missing it then.
because I mean, it's subjective, so you can't be
Yeah, I guess.
missing. But because like Bowen saying like he's not texting me back, I'm having a mental breakdown. I don't remember the lines, but
Yeah.
like saying that with a smile, I think was maybe part of it. But I don't disagree with you. I think there maybe could have been something done just to highlight the punchlines a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the way you said it better. Highlight the punchlines.
Well,
Great. It's like you like do this every week or something.
Yeah, something like that. No, but I thought this was really fun. Pride or not pride, it did a great job of just highlighting the roller coaster of any big event, because there's so much anticipation and you're building up and you're so excited for this thing, be it a concert, a vacation, Pride Week month, whatever. And then you get there and it's never as good as you think it's going to be. There are highs and lows. And then when it ends, there's like I have an emotional breakdown after anything ends. Like next week, SNL is going to be gone. I'm going to be like, I'm so sad it's over.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't handle change and endings well. So maybe this spoke to me on a very personal level. But no, I loved this. I thought the Chick-fil-A beat was great, because I'm a person that I complain I don't eat Chick-fil-A, but now I'm like, oh, am I allowed to again? Because I will.
Yeah. The door
I'd love
open?
I do in
to.
theory.
Is this allowed? Please, someone read the theory and tell me, because I'm not going to. But yeah, and like I said, that roller coaster was great, and there was even a line in there that spoke to that. That was like, I'm overwhelmed, but I love it.
Yeah.
Which is me in just everyday life. So, yeah, huge win on this one. But Charlotte, I do not disagree that maybe those punchlines could have hit a little harder. Steve, where'd you land?
It made me miss a couple year stretch of my life. I want to say 6 years ago, where I lived in Toronto, and anyone from Toronto is going to know when I say I lived on a building at Church and Wellesley. They'll know that intersection to be the heart of the village. And as much as I loved Pride Week every year, it was a blast,
Every month.
Yeah, every month. Come down to Toronto if you're that kind of partier. But yeah, every year it was a blast. But this sketch got so much right about like some of the things that go on there. Like, it's super corporate, so much sponsorship and booths just planted everywhere, just to sign you up for every ride share and zip line they can give you. It's super taken over by the sponsors in a way, and definitely just as many straight people as gay people, if not more. It's great. I love an inclusive event, and I love that Pride has become just being your true self, not so much being like a label of gay or lesbian or whatever.
And showing your allyship.
Yeah, but I definitely like see that side of it where it's like, okay, all these straight people are kind of like appropriating our dress and our ideals, and it's is it sincere? Is it for attention? That all these things are great, albeit respectful observations of Pride.
Yeah, Pride is so chaotic, and they did tap into that well, because is it all one community? You have lesbians. What is it? Lesbians, gay, bisexual, transgendered, questioning, asexual. Like, it's all one community, but it's also a lot of very, very different communities. Like lesbian culture and gay culture, for instance, isn't that much alike, but it all gets lumped into Pride, and everybody's going to be in a 3-block radius together, and it is a wild time.
And wasted and sweaty and like,
yeah. So it is a recipe for chaos.
Yeah.
Yes. yeah, so really, really warm on the Pride sketch. Let's keep going. Come see Celtic women. It's the Lion King, but for Karens. This one was something. Charlotte, what'd you think?
I was kind of hoping you wouldn't go to me first for this one. Well, I thought it was funny. I had to watch it a couple times, I have to say.
Okay.
I cannot personally relate to ever seeing something like this. Steve and I were chatting before recording, and he will have more to relate to here. But look, I mean, it's funny. Love some songs. Love an Irish accent. Love a commercial. It was funny. Okay, I'm just gonna stop. Yeah, you guys take it away.
I'm with you. I don't have much to say or really get it that much. So, Steve, please carry it.
Okay. You need the Irish guy to help
I
you.
need you in here.
That's fine. My last name is Finn, as in Huckleberry. Let's see now. This is crazy close to home. You know, I'm from a place that has a lot of Irish population. A lot of Irish history. There's just Irish blood trickling through this tip of Canada that I live at. And this got so much right about like the tourism and how they like sell that Irish culture to non-Irish.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was really really astute the way that they just picked apart the way that they try to repackage it all. And stuff like the Sweet Home Alabama thing. I'm sure you appreciate
Tide.
that, Catherine.
That was fun.
That was probably the best thing. You're broadcasting
That's-
from Alabama as we
I'm
speak.
broadcasting live from Alabama. And having grown up here, I've heard that song roughly 3 million too many times.
Yes, it's a sweet home. We get it. But yeah, this was one of my favorite sketches of the night, just because it's so much part of home, and the accents were so spot on and hilarious, and I found that the girls were just having so much fun with it. That was
Right.
hard not to enjoy that. Like they kind of screwed up coming in and laughed at themselves, and they found their way through the stumble. But yeah, you could tell they were having a lot of fun.
Very good. This wasn't for me. I don't think it was meant to be for me, and that's fine. I didn't fully get the joke, so like I'm just not in on it, and that's okay. What I did like was what you started to talk about, Steve. They were having fun with it. 80 was just constantly on the cusp of breaking, and that's a good time. I like to see who I in my crazy world think of as my friends having a good time on stage together. So I enjoyed it for that.
Good job, guys.
Okay, well let's move on from our little mini Irish fest we just had into Lil Nas X giving a pants-splitting performance of Montero and Sun Goes Down.
Wait, did his pants actually split?
Pants did split. Yeah,
that makes sense. I was gonna say he was holding onto his crotch for dear life by the end.
At the end,
I thought it was on brand, so I didn't think anything was going on.
He was holding his crotch kind of off and on throughout. But then at the end, he went down on the pole, and then he looked down.
Did he have a face?
His hands. He did a face. There was a whole thing, and then he held his hands over it the rest of the time, and you could tell that there was more pole choreography that he could no longer do because it would have been out.
Wow, good catch. Because something looked off by the end. I was like, this is like a little bit more than you would for a dance. Yeah.
Nathan, my husband, actually caught it, and he was like, I think he had a wardrobe malfunction. I was like, what? And then I looked at Twitter, and Lil Nas X actually tweeted about it.
Oh, he confirmed it?
Mm-hmm.
He did.
Okay. I will say, despite that, I thought he sounded great. I thought, the performance was great. I will say, though, that stage is small and it felt a little crowded with all of those dancers and
Mhm.
choreography and set pieces. I would have liked to have seen it a little bit more pared down. And he's a great dancer. Maybe you just have like one or two backup dancers with you.
Yeah, there was a lot going on
Yeah.
for sure. I like Lil Nas X like as a person. I think he's hilarious. I think he's
Yeah.
doing great stuff. I'm not like a huge fan of his music. I don't listen to it often. I like both tracks, but they're just not really my standard listening fare. But I like the guy, and I thought he performed both songs really, really well. I love the effect they had on the second one with like the screen behind him, and it was always on like the one camera angle. So then when this camera shifted, it was like you were kind of seeing it from both sides, which was fun.
That was
So
cool.
I thought it was a really like well designed performance. It was performed really well, and yeah, I had fun with it. Just not necessarily my go to genre. Steve, how did you feel about it? I'm genuinely very curious because I feel like you often go, um, like I feel like you're either going to love it or hate it. Like I don't feel like there's a middle ground on it.
Oh, hmm.
I'm wrong.
I,
Okay,
I'm
that's
going to
fine.
disappoint you because I'm kind of middle on it.
Okay.
Like my critical hat, I can put that on and say this is uh, a great performance. There's really something unique here, and it really caters to an audience that was never catered to like this before. I feel with this
Mhm.
kind of music and aesthetic. Uh, Having said that, I don't know what all the controversy is about. Man's just dressed for the tropical New York weather. He's trying to keep cool with wearing just the shoulders
Mhm.
of a shirt,
Very
and
sensible attire.
yeah, and
Was there
his
controversy?
of
There's
course there
always
was.
controversy
I was
with
gonna say
him.
Of course
that,
there
like,
was.
if they had, well, if you've seen his music video for this was tame compared to the music video.
Right.
Right. But what I really mean is that I do get it. I do get why he causes a stir because
Mhm.
it's a very sexual energy that he is emitting here. It's
Mhm.
now I see what ruffles the feathers.
Right.
But I like it.
I'm glad, yeah.
I like art that tries to take you out of polite society norms and give you kind of a shock culture to live in for at least a few minutes worth of a song.
Yeah, I love that he's leaned into just being unapologetically himself and just giving us like an iconic gay performance for the
Yeah.
ages, and he's like, "This is what I am. This is what you're getting," and he makes no apologies, and I love that.
Iconic gay
Iconic.
performance.
Boom.
All right, let's get into weekend update. For the lead in, Jost and Shay discuss the changes of the past year and then do one hell of a joke swap. Woo, this was a good one. Steve, how'd you feel?
I love those joke swaps.
Who doesn't?
Yes. It is kind of a cheat code. It's like they were like, "Hey, we found a way to put a white man on camera and tell an overtly racist joke. And it's somehow okay given the context that it was written by a man of color and given to another man to unknowingly read."
Right.
It's like
Yeah.
they found this big loophole. Just imagine like cutting out all the setup and just playing a clip of Colin Jost telling one of those jokes without
Right.
explaining like what the whole joke is supposed to be.
Yeah, I thought this was probably the best joke swap they've done. Like it was extra savage. And even Jost got a little savage to Che, making him say like anything the police do are fine by good old Mikey Che. Like,
Blue
I
lives matter more.
more, not just matter, they matter more. Yeah, this was phenomenal. I thought the fare that they let in with the opening salvo was sort of middle of the road, but
Mhm.
once we got into joke swap, it never misses, but this one was a home run. just my favorite ever, and I can't wait to just watch it 6 more times. And Charlotte, you texted me about it earlier, so I know you loved it. So tell us
Oh
about
man.
it.
Yeah, I totally agree with both of you. I mean, I was cracking up and it is just it's I love that it's become
Mm-hmm.
a thing that they're
Right.
gonna do it. Like it's time for the joke swap and you know what you're getting and it's hilarious. And then I also think there is such like amazing comedic value to like hammering things home, like how
Mm-hmm.
Che had him go back to the black Superman like 3 times. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, and one more joke about this that just came to me. And they are savage, terrible. And yeah, exactly. It's brilliant comedy because it's making
Right.
Joe say it.
Was that the last time?
You felt like
That
it was the last time?
No, well, I'm asking, was that the last
Oh.
time we'll see them as a pair?
You know,
Since
Jost openly said before that he was only really interested in sticking out the 2020 election. But then Che recently said on like the Today Show or The View or something that he was like, I'm 99.9% sure that I'm not going to leave until they make me. So I don't, once again, it seems likely that it could be their last outing, but no real closure or clarification.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh god, I hope not. I mean, look, I'm torn because on the one hand, like I would love to see a woman back up on the desk, you know,
Mhm.
but they do have such great chemistry, so it's
Right.
tough.
Yeah, they're just so great, and they're really in their stride now because they've been doing it for how many years?
Right.
6 or 7.
Yeah.
Um, but if there is the exodus of cast members that people think there will be, it seems fitting that we would go into a new era of Weekend Update at the same time.
Mhm.
Um, so I guess we'll see.
Guess we'll see. Remains to
Guess
be
we'll
seen.
see.
All right, well, let's talk about Pete discussing his anxieties, giving Colin's credit card back, and reminding us about AIDS. Great comedic fare. Charlotte, how'd you feel about Pete's appearance?
Oh, it was so Pete. It was just like full Pete. I don't even have really any like so much of Pete's desk bits are just him Pete being Pete, right? Like
Right.
it's not like if you looked at the page at the writing that you'd be super blown away. So much of it is his delivery and then his chemistry with Jost and his chemistry with the audience because I do think
Mhm.
he says some things off the cuff and that's what makes him so likable and funny. My favorite lines were definitely the Chrissy Teigen Chrissy Teigen line. And the AIDS while cringy and the tying it to SNL how it hasn't been the same as the 90s. I mean, that was funny. I mean, those were 2
Mhm.
really funny moments and jokes. So, yeah, I mean, this worked for me. I thought it worked.
Yeah. Steve, where'd you land?
Yeah, I loved it. Don't have a whole lot to say about it. Mainly that just loved all the insults that were thrown towards himself and the show.
Mhm.
Love the deprecation. That's always been a favorite of mine. Yeah, but I think that AIDS equivalency made with SNL that was so brilliant. Because a lot of people would say that people haven't cared about SNL in the 90s. But what really made that joke so great, like I was already laughing, and then I laughed so much harder when he claimed that Lauren wrote the joke. I thought
Yeah.
that was such a brilliant way to feed the energy of the response to that joke.
Yeah.
I hope he's not going anywhere. Like we were just talking about how it might he might have implied it with his growing up comment.
Right. Yeah,
I'd like to see more Pete.
that comment felt very goodbye.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think is Pete at like the end of his contract yet? I mean, not that that would necessarily not he could definitely leave beforehand, but it's he's really coming into his own this season. Like it would be a real shame for him to leave when I feel like he's finding his footing.
Nope.
But he definitely has plenty of projects to jump off to. He's not going to be hurting for work. So I could see it going either way with Pete. As far as this actual desk bit, I thought it wasn't Pete's best. It was one of the kind of messier constructed bits, I think, of his. It relied mostly on his natural charisma, and it worked because of that. I think it was a good appearance. But I thought it could have maybe been structured a little cleaner.
Maybe.
It is what it is,
I would agree.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
You're not wrong.
All right. Well, up next, another one that has sparked some debate on what it signals. Judge Janine Pirro does things her way. And by her way, I mean literally swimming in wine. What
That's
an
a way.
ending. Steve, did you like it?
Oh man, I love this. It's like she was going to do it for the last time. That might be
Mhm.
part of why you're feeling that way, because it felt like she was like savoring the moment of playing Janine Pirro. Just
Yeah, it felt like a send-off.
yeah, there was just like it's always great, but there was so much care this time around, and so much oomph
Mhm.
that felt so effortless. Like she's always pulling it off, but like this time she almost it was just coming from her diaphragm, like she was Janine Pirro or something. It was amazing to see. And she must have practiced with that wine glass, because I don't think she missed a shot at Jost.
No, she
It
didn't.
was
No.
amazing. Che dry as a bone.
Yeah.
Jost
Just without
drenched
even
every
looking.
single shot.
Incredible.
Yeah, without looking. That
Incredible
was
aim.
yeah. But hey, let's just applaud them for going all out with the big box of wine and having her
Yes.
just like basically not be able to be in the show anymore by being drenched in a red fluid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Such
She
a fun
committed.
time. This was a highlight, and she committed.
She
She did.
committed, and it made this. This was the best Janine Pirro appearance, and I love all of them, and I love how they've heightened. She started out like spitting wine on him, and then she like threw it up on him, and now she's just sloshing it and getting into a whole thing. Like I think this was amazing, and Cecily gave
Yeah.
it her all. When she went fully underwater, I lost my mind. I thought, hold on, is she just gonna disappear? Is she not gonna come back up?
You
Because that
okay
would
down
be-
there?
I just loved this. Was perfect. I loved
Yeah.
everything about it. I thought it was phenomenal, and Cecily was amazing. And if this is a send off, it's a good one to go out on.
It's certainly a
agree.
crescendo. I don't know how it can get
Mhm.
any bigger. Like I was almost distracted by the wine glass that I, might have missed a line or two just because I was
Mhm.
watching that thing swing around. So much
Yeah.
just chaos.
Definitely.
She
So
was
Charlotte, big win.
big win. Agree with everything you all have said. I mean, she nails the impression already. She's such an amazing impressionist and has turned it into her own character. And yeah, if I don't know who wrote it, if she did or this how they decided to choose the song. And I mean, it was perfect. So well done. I loved it. I loved it. And if it's her final, it was an amazing final.
Yeah. Big high to end update on. And let's get in to the back half of the show. We've got big ones, bigger ones, the biggest of all, they're bras. I love this, Charlotte.
You
I
made me
agree.
talk about the penis before you guys, so you guys got to go
Yep.
first. With
We'll
the
take
bra.
this one. Don't worry.
Oh, don't you worry. I mean, first of all, I grew up like Queens, Long Island area, so this accent felt like home. I mean, and 80 nails it. I mean, literally, when I tell you guys, she looked and sounded exactly like my 5th grade math teacher. I am not even kidding. I mean, just like spot on. hilarious. And then I love the construction worker by day, and then I guess bra maker
Bra
by night.
designer by
Husband. All right, love yous, girls, and then heads back. I mean, so much about this worked for me. I loved how it just keeps heightening. I thought all of the lines were so well written. I loved the moment of her feeling up Heidi Gardner and telling her to cough and then predicting that she's pregnant with a boy in addition to saying her bra size, however she says it. And so much of this worked to me. I hate to be this way. The only thing that did not work for me was Anya. I thought that she could have gone bigger. I just performance-wise with either the accent or the energy just needed to be up at 80s level. And then this would have been like a 10. I also, just looks wise, she's like just too petite to have that big of a chest. So I just was kind of like, I mean, they definitely filled her out. Like that was for sure. But I mean, I just really sort of wanted somebody that could have matched her level. And I do think like Kate and 80 always have such amazing chemistry that she would have been a great casting choice. But Anya still came through, but that was probably my only note. Otherwise, I thought the heightening and all the layers and characters worked so well in this.
Yeah, the first thing I said when it ended was, seems weird Kate wasn't in that.
Yeah.
Because this was seemed like a classic Kate and 80 sketch.
At least have the three of them together.
Right, yeah. So I don't know what was up with that. It definitely felt off that Kate was not involved in this.
Because she would have nailed the accent too.
Oh, absolutely. Like this is what her and 80 do best. So I'm very intrigued. I would love to talk to someone behind the scenes to see if maybe there was something cut or what went down with this. Because that stood out to me.
Yeah.
But for what we got, I did love it. It is a huge truism to the point that earlier that day, I was at Target with a friend of mine. She was shopping for bras, and we were talking about where we always buy our bras, etc. And she, at one point, she held one up and she went, "Oh no, this only has 2 hooks on the back." I said, "No, honey, we're gonna need a thicker band on that bad boy." Like,
only the jaws of life could open.
The jaws of life. We got to get 4 to 5 hooks. Like, you're busted girl. That little band could cut it. So like they're definitely tapping into a real thing that women face, and I loved the truism in that, and that's what these sketches do really well. Like, Steve, how did you feel?
I love the mythology of it. You know, there's what a bra is. You know, what we would call a bra is something that's like from La Senza or Victoria's Secret or something, and it's made from silk. It's got little frilly things.
It's meant to be sexy. It's not meant to be supportive.
That's a bra.
It's not doing the work.
That's a bra, and then you have a bra, which is all of these tents and parachutes and what have you for the Chicago deep dishes and wind socks in the world. So this was a lot of fun, and part of me thinks, Charlotte was saying, well, why they do this with Anya Taylor-Joy? She's like super petite, but that might be the reason they asked her. It's like, hey, you're super petite, so you can't possibly think that we're suggesting that you have, floppy pendulous breasts or whatever. You're safe. He's like, okay, you're very small, so you won't misconstrue this.
That's true.
That's a little probably male-centric theory that I have that I shouldn't say out loud.
The best line was still when she says that to Chloe. Bralette, I haven't worn that since my christening.
I know. She just needs a tank top.
Yeah, this store is not for you. No, Steve, while that may be male centric. I don't think that's necessarily off. Because yeah, they could be uncomfortable pitching that to a broader lady that you could worry that it was insulting.
Yeah, you don't want to ask someone who looks the part that it's maybe a little too close to home.
Yeah. Unless you know them and know that that would be funny
Yeah.
for them. All right. On that note, let's continue. An NYU film panel asked the tough questions like explain race and do you prefer frisbees or dogs? Which is such a weird question to ask somebody. Steve, did this win for you?
It did. And for the record, I prefer dogs because a dog will definitely steal you a frisbee if he gets a chance.
Yeah, same.
Then you can throw that to a pal.
Exactly. And the pal can be the dog.
So we had fun with this, right? This was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I thought this was great. You really get a good sense of like what they were trying to capture with young students kind of coming in or in their transitionary period into the real world, not quite there. So like they're still young, they're still giddy about boys, they're still doing that girly thing, but they're also, coming into their like identity politics and all that and hearing about how that's all important. So this is their attempt at, I guess, trying to balance the both of them. And yeah, just trying their best with what world experience they have to be sensitive. But yeah, it's great. Like, only the cute boy that they're attracted to is the one that they'll actually talk to like an actual as if they're fans of him. And everybody else is just like, okay, you are, a woman / person of color /
yeah, like you are shoehorned into answering questions about one single topic.
Yeah, that is all you are to me. And yeah, you do see that this is like a hyper version of it, and I think it rings true.
Yeah, I thought the commentary this was making was good. I think there's even, if I'm recalling correctly, a specific like Scarlett Johansson interview when she was promoting like one of the Marvel movies, and she's like with a male co-host, and they're just asking her like the worst questions, and and I think she even called them out on it, like, you haven't asked him anything like this. Why are you asking me this? And so it's tapping into a very true thing where Chris Evans gets nice softball questions, and Scarlett Johansson gets like intense, like either they're really intense or they're just like straight up sexist.
Yeah.
So different people get asked different questions, and I think they're tapping into something there, and they're doing it in a really fun way. Like it'd be easy for the sketch to feel, preachy or low energy, but it wasn't. Like they kept it up. Like I thought the pacing of it was really really good. Especially when they started going really fast between everybody. So I thought this was great. I thought it had good energy. It was upbeat, and I was having a lot of fun with it. Charlotte, where'd you land?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Definitely tapped into a very real phenomenon, and parts of it were funny. It didn't totally land for me, and I can't exactly put my finger on it because I do appreciate what they were going for, and I don't know if it was like almost that they seemed too young, the students. Like if you're in college, and especially NYU, if you're studying film, I feel like you would almost be so serious maybe and not as giddy. I'm not sure that's exactly the point. I don't know. Something felt off in this for me, and I cannot put my finger on it. Maybe it just went on too long. Maybe it just felt like the same joke over and over again. I think it's a combo of those things, but I didn't hate it, and I chuckled, but it wasn't my favorite sketch of the night.
Yeah. I think that's fair. Like, this isn't my favorite, the best thing of the night or anything. I thought it worked, but yeah, it wasn't a home run. All right. Well, mixed reviews on the film panel. Let's get into the 10-1, where Vin Diesel welcomes you back to the movies.
The movie.
Steve did it better.
Nice.
Charlotte, did anything win about this?
Yeah, a lot won for me for the with this. I mean, I don't know. It's sort of like it was a little bit weird, but it was so funny. I don't know. Like, did it maybe go on a little too long? Yeah, but I still loved it. I mean, I love Beck. Beck goes to like 150. He's so funny as Vin Diesel, and I love the kind of comedy that is like just goes a little too far and naming every single mundane detail about the movie theaters that's so spot on, to like the kid in the bathroom, to like the concession stand that's never been open, to the Garfield cutout that like people take pictures with. I mean, like, or you don't know what's in the popcorn. I mean, there were just so many details that were both nostalgic, right? Because we have not been to the movies in so long, and funny because there are so many things that we've put up with,
right?
That are like, why do we
terrible?
do this? Yeah. And so that's why it worked. I mean, he's literally just listing out things in the movies, and because it's like I love this. This is like a home run for me. This is like right up my alley comedy wise. I did. And then I loved how then like, oh, you got to wear your mask. Watch it at home.
Yeah.
So this is a big, big win for me.
I have to admit, you gave me a little bit of a new appreciation for it, because you're right. It, like, the smarter thing about it is that it's really like, why do we go to the movies? Like, there's like part of it that's great, but most of it's terrible. Like, there's always someone talking, there's always someone texting. Like, it sucks. I hate it. But
God.
I guess the big thing here is like, this is very fertile territory. Like, I have also recently written an AMC welcome back to the movie sketch. Like they're tapping into something that's like very good and has lots of jokes to be made. But I was like, why is Vin Diesel doing it? I felt like I had missed something.
Because all those Fast and the Furious movies, there's like so many Fast and the Furious movies. Like,
but there's not like a new one. Is there a new one out?
It was supposed to come out a year ago.
Oh, okay.
And then COVID hit. It was one of the first movies to get cut due to COVID. I think it was the first. Okay. And right off the bat, they said, we'll put it out exactly a year from now.
Okay.
So everybody was like, it was about to come out. Now I got to wait a year.
Okay, that makes a little more sense then.
Yeah, he represents a franchise that was like a big part of that narrative.
Okay, because I was like, did Vin Diesel recently do a commercial for like I felt like I had missed something, and like it's probably
he made his own commercial.
I'm just overthinking it way too much. Like there really doesn't need to be an explanation of why it's Vin Diesel. I don't know why I'm trying.
Probably
to
because he's like the least commercially, like he's not someone you'd want to watch in a commercial for this.
Like if they had put like Brie Larson up there, I would have been like, yeah, she's doing commercials 24/7. This makes sense. But would she have been as funny? No. So yeah, I mean, there were parts of this that I liked, and parts of it that I was scratching my head a little bit. But Beck has a good Vin Diesel. I'm here for that.
I'm here for it.
Steve, how'd you feel?
Oh, words cannot describe. Beck Bennett is very quick to remind me why he's one of the best.
Mm-hmm.
He never goes long without doing that for me. This is just a very good example of how much he believes in his abilities. Because to agree to do a sketch that where it's basically a monologue with a few other side characters. It's all Beck, and so much of what he has to get laughs out of is the same line. And if it's not the same line, it's the same structure of just listing things and another thing. Like it goes back to that over and over to the point of absurdity. And the balls on the guy to be like, okay, I can make this work. I can
Yeah.
hit every beat here and get every laugh. I can say the movies 5 times and get a laugh every time because I know
Mhm.
how to pull something new out of it every time.
Right.
That is a genius at work. It's a genius in a bald cap, but a genius nonetheless.
Yeah, this was fun. It was a win, maybe more marginally for me than you guys, but a win nonetheless, and a good way to close out the night. So let's talk about our overall ratings. First up is moment of the night. Charlotte, what is it?
Cecily Strong, I did it my way.
Which
It
part
is.
of it?
The final like dunk in the big box of wine. Or just one of the other tosses back at Joe's.
Yeah.
Because those were spot on. Like you guys said, that aim was unreal.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to go with the final dunk as well. Like when she started to sink down, I thought there's no way she's going all the way under. And then she did it.
Girl did it.
You know, talk about heightening. She went all the way under the wine. And I loved it. That really, really cracked me up. And I was thrilled. Steve, what's your moment?
My moment was the little portion of the shotgun to the genitals sketch where he's trying to convince them not to have sex out of respect for his condition. And their sorry, not sorry response of we'll do it, but we won't do it.
Right.
Like it was almost surreal. The first of all, the amount of times it's repeated, but being that honest while trying to sound like you're going to do it. It's just a weird way to say no to someone.
Right.
As if you're
We're
like,
going to, but okay.
you're saying no.
Saying no with a smile.
You're delivering no as a yes, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we will.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Great moment.
Yeah. That was a good one. Let's talk about best sketch. Charlotte?
Prom photo.
Period. The end.
Okay.
Yeah, do I need to say more? I mean, we already talked about it.
That's true. We have talked about it pretty extensively. It's really good. I'm actually torn between prom photo and Janine Pirro. And I know Steve, you sometimes don't like to give it to a update feature. This was a pretty involved update feature, though.
It had blocking. It had props.
It did. It did.
Yeah, a hell of a lot of props.
I'm really torn. I'm really, really, truly torn. Let's go with prom because it is a true sketch by the classical definition, and it's really, really good. And I think will be very, very rewatchable for years to come and still be relevant.
Agree.
So yeah, that one near perfect sketch. So
Agree.
prom it is. Steve, are you gonna make it unanimous?
No.
Nope, you're gonna go with the other one. I know what
the
it is.
Movie.
Oh, I thought you were gonna go with the Celtic women.
Celtic.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Celtic.
Sorry.
Curse that basketball team for ruining the pronunciation forever. I'll never forgive them.
But nonetheless, it is the movies.
The movies. Absolutely. I liked that it was too long.
Okay.
I liked that it was just undeserving of the screen time that it somehow conned its way into. Something to do with, I guess, undershooting the show and saying we need to stretch the VIN.
Maybe.
Maybe.
It made it better. And to put it as the last bit of the finale of the show, there's everything perfect about this.
It's also interesting that it was so long and it's the 10-1, which usually gets chopped up a good bit. So, all right. Well, the movies it is. Let's talk about MVP. Who are you giving it to, Charlotte?
I really struggled with this. I might go with Beck.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a good
Just
pick.
because it's like multiple, like there are definitely others that crushed in their sketch, but he crushed in multiple sketches, like really
Mm-hmm.
did. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it to Beck. I'm
I,
going Beck.
I think that's a fair pick. He was the lead in the prom one. He led the movies. He was in the bra one.
Yeah.
Um.
And was great in all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And very distinct characters.
Yeah. I
And
considered Beck as well, and then, but I ultimately am torn between 80 and Cecily.
I had both of those down too. I wish I could show you my notebook. Yeah.
Because 80 was
All
all
great.
over the place.
Yeah.
She was great as the mom in the prom sketch. She was
Yes.
a good angel in the heaven one. Of course, in Celtic Women. Then we
Rawr.
had leading the brawl sketch, the NYU panel. I mean, she was really, really heavy in this show and doing great work.
Yeah.
And then you have Cecily, who made the play.
Yeah.
She wasn't in that much other stuff, but that Janine Pirro bit was so good. Yeah, I'm
mean,
gonna give it to
that's
Cecily. It's
do
gotta
it.
be
Give it
Cecily.
to her. Give it to her.
Yeah, I mean, a performance to die for. So she deserves it. She earned it big time. Steve, who's it gonna be?
Well, I got good news for you folks because I think the top 3 are going to get recognition because I'm going with Little Baby 80.
Woo!
Little baby 80.
I want to pick both Beck and Cecily at the same time because of how great
Mm-hmm.
the performances they did were. But 80 just had so much to do.
Mm-hmm.
And she was my favorite part of the cold open. I think her jokes were the best. I loved how she delivered them. The holding the breath for 10 seconds was a great line.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we just got her running the show so often with the brar and the NYU and just so much presence from her. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I just really liked what she gave me while she was out there. So hey, I could give it to one of the two that you guys did, but why do that when we can honor all 3? I think the 3 top performers of the night.
Yeah.
Woo.
I'm glad that we all landed somewhere different. Like, we all agreed that those were the 3 picks, but we all voted different ways. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Love
That's
that.
beautiful, man.
Okay, the big one. On a scale of classic, great, decent, weak, or train wreck, Charlotte, how would you rate this episode?
Okay, so I know you guys get annoyed because I always am very kind in my rankings. But I
Not
will
annoyed.
say, considering I usually don't like the cold open, just gonna be honest. I really loved the cold open this week.
Mm-hmm.
There were a few dud sketches, but nothing that bad. Thought the musical guest worked. I liked Anya, didn't love Anya as a host, not in life.
As a person.
As a person. I was kind of between decent or great, but I think because of those really great finale moments, like the joke swap, the Janine Pirro, I loved the movies and I loved prom photo. I'm gonna give it a great.
Yeah, I think this is a solid great.
Mhm.
It definitely gets above decent in my book because it has really only one sketch that I didn't like.
Mhm.
And then everything else, was maybe it was high end of middle of the road, or I really loved it. But everything worked and everybody delivered great performances. A cold open I actually really loved. Strong update, fantastic features on update, and just a really good finale. It's
Mhm.
not a classic because there were a few misses. It wasn't an iconic episode, but I thought it was really, really great, and I'm happy to land on a great for the finale after a couple decents. So that's where we are. Steve, where you landed? Classic, or
I'm going to
is that a
give it a
C?
classic.
Oh.
Whoa.
Wow. Okay.
I do want to give it a classic. I loved how sweet and beautiful that cold open was. I loved how great some of these sketches were. I loved how absurd some were. I loved how clever some were. I loved the performances of all my favorite cast members. I loved the performance of this first time host that freaking killed it. The musical guest was provocative and fun and uh, was basically a big headline of the year, just to give this kind of a timestamp for the
Yeah.
classic ages.
Mhm.
Joke swap. Holy crap. What don't we have? We got Kate crying. We got people saying they're going to leave in so many words. There's so much juice. I could go on, but I feel like after the whole year we had and the way they capped it off, the season that's going to represent that, yeah, this is going to be one for the ages.
That's fair. Now I feel bad about it. It was definitely a really good episode, and
Yeah.
I think they definitely went out of season 46 with a bang.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, you don't feel bad. You feel great about it. I just
do
feel
feel-
classic. That's,
yeah,
Nailed it.
I'm thrilled with this. You know, I'm intrigued to see what comes next. If we're going into a sort of a rebuilding phase, there's definitely no closure on that. But I think they really capped this season off with a lot of great energy, great sketches, and in a great way. And I'm sad to see it go. Well, that's a wrap. Thanks to Charlotte O'Trimba and Steve Finn. And thanks as well to our most generous patrons, Sam Bowers, Neil Weinstein, Justin Gardner, Grace Kogan, and Brian Clark. If you're enjoying our show, please subscribe on YouTube or wherever better podcasts can be found. Your subscription helps us grow, and your support is greatly appreciated. We'll be back soon for our post-season 46 extravaganza, but until then, this has been episode number 138 of the Saturday Night Live Afterparty podcast. I'm Catherine Coleman, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.